Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. Until a year ago, I had never been in the Baltics before. And in November, I went to this forum. And since then, I've been here 3 times. And one time, in addition to that, up in Riga, Latvia. And I must say, it is fantastic. I love it. And there are very few places in the world that I like to go to more than the Baltics. And I guess it gives me butterflies to think to be here all the time. So hopefully we'll have many more chances to engage. And last year, I must say, I see a big difference. This room is even more crowded. There's even standing room, so it's fantastic. So well done, Christina. Congratulations, and I'm looking forward to a really great day. Now, food is one thing that we all have in common, as you well know. It enables us to bridge cultural and geographical divides. The ways in which we produce, process, transport, and consume food, in other words, food systems, involve multiple actors across many locations and require both trust and cooperation to develop. Agriculture is quite arguably the most important thing that we as human beings have invented. It was the driving force behind the growth of civilizations and has also been responsible for many profound effects on our planet. The trading of food started with the birth of agriculture in the Neolithic period. As people started to settle permanently, they experimented with new crops, innovated new techniques, and domesticated animals. This set the stage for the development of art, religion, and culture. As people started growing more food than they needed for their own consumption, they started to use it for trade. And this is how the first food systems were born. Agriculture radically transformed human societies and fueled a global population. And as societies developed, innovations in food preservation, such as drying, fermentation, and pasteurization, and in transportation meant that trade routes could be used to link food exchange over great distances. And where food was exchanged, other commodities and culture have followed. These early food systems required the development of new relationships, they required cooperation, and importantly, they required trust. And I'll talk about trust a little bit more here in this particular speech. Today, food systems are global with complex value chains involving many different actors across great distances. However, as you well know, our food system is currently at risk. It is unsustainable and can be harmful to both people and the planet. Over the past few years, we've faced a number of significant crises, and these are only going to get more and more frequent if we do not build resilience. War will always impact food systems, whether it be through supply chain disruptions, the need to rapidly provide food aid to communities and people during and after the conflicts, and importantly, it results in rising food prices. The war in Ukraine threatens food security at a global level, as well as exposing drivers of fragility for the European agri-food sector, such as our dependence on imported fossil fuels, fertilizers, and animal feed from the region. A year ago, during my first time in the Baltics, I spoke here at the Agri-Food Forum about peace and food. Sadly, the war in Ukraine since then is far from over, and it isn't the only war at our doorsteps. Loss of lives and livelihoods, destruction of infrastructure, displacement of people, and impact on food innovation systems are all the things currently happening as a result of the war between Israel and Hamas. The effects of war are very current and immediate. We don't have a choice. They require an immediate crisis response. We don't have time to ponder, debate what we do to mitigate against these effects. Because in crisis, we make decisions to the best of our knowledge, we collaborate, and we act right now. However, there are other really big challenges that we're facing today which will impact us on an even bigger scale and to which we're not reacting with the same urgency. And I'm talking about ecological disaster and climatic catastrophe. It is looking increasingly unlikely that we'll be able to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees by 2030. an amount which the IPCC determines to be a livable climate. Demand for fresh water will outstrip supply by 40% within the next 10 years. And over 1 million species of plants and animals are currently at threat of extinction. And of course, it is looking increasingly unlikely that we will meet the SDGs by 2030, the SDGs being the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. This is not something that will happen at another time to someone else. This is happening now, and we need to treat it like the crisis that it is, on a level with war. As we see more competition for resources such as land for food production or water, we will see much more conflict. In 2018, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution recognizing that hunger drives forced displacement, and forced displacement in turn can have a devastating impact on agricultural production, as many of you know very well. It is clear that hunger will never be eliminated without global peace, and climate change further deepens the spiral of hunger and conflict. Put simply, sustainable food systems can drive peace, and peace can support sustainable food systems. Peace and security are very much linked, and climate change will put immense pressure on both. One example of this is the Arab Spring of 2011, which to a large degree was caused by rapidly rising prices for bread of up to 40% in the year 2010. In order to meet our net zero goals, to ensure our planet stays livable, we now need to transform the way that we produce and consume food. Last year in this event, I spoke about the climate crisis and the interdependencies between that and the food system. Rather than the food system being both cause and casualty of climate change, there is a potential for the food system to have a positive impact on the climate. The capturing and storage of carbon by our soil, plants, and our oceans, and trees, of course, could provide the silver bullet we need to move the needle from sustainable or net zero to regenerative or net positive. And importantly, our management of these resources will be absolutely key to this. Rethinking food and innovating food systems provides us with a number of opportunities to sequester or capture and store more carbon in our soils, to increase biodiversity and to increase the resilience of our landscapes. And this will lead to improved food security. In a couple of weeks, COP28 will start in Dubai, and EIT Food, the organization that I'm running, will be there. We are the Secretariat for the Food Systems Pavilion, and in that role, we're bringing together food systems shareholders, stakeholders globally to raise the profile of food systems in the international climate negotiations and to highlight the climate, food, water, and biodiversity nexus. So what can we do? We urgently need to build resilience to enable us to respond to the many, many serious challenges we're facing now. We need to invest in key innovations and solutions, as well as support a just transition for all. Increasing the sustainability of our food systems is not something we can do alone. To meet the targets set by the European Green Deal, we need to increase the scale and speed of transformation of European agriculture, fostering the adoption of climate-smart agricultural practices and solutions. But this again will require us all to work together with all stakeholders to understand the barriers to adoption and scaling, and to co-create those solutions which promote that just transition that I'm speaking about. I absolutely believe that with EIT Food as the world's largest food innovation community, together we have the technologies and innovations at our fingertips to have a huge impact on all of those challenges. I know that many of you have developed game-changing solutions, and I'm looking forward to hearing about some of them today. But we don't just need the solutions, many of which have clearly been proven, we need to scale them. And therein lies another challenge. To scale, we need cooperation. We need to work together, and to do that, we need trust. I've already mentioned trust today. Trust was key in developing the very first food systems. And investment in trust is an essential ingredient in building peace for healthy, sustainable, and resilient food systems. So how do we do this? We need to take a systems approach, I believe, and we need to work together on this. At EIT Food, we are working with stakeholders to build a portfolio of projects in three main focus areas, namely regenerative agriculture, protein diversification, and packaging and labeling. Within those areas, we look at innovation as a learning experience. We want to learn about what works and what doesn't, and we will accept failure as a consequence. We need to be bold, we need to be not afraid of failing in certain of those projects, because innovation is tied to risk, and you have to have a certain risk appetite to make it happen. And all of this, again, requires trust between the consortia and an open exchange of knowledge. AgriFood Lithuania, our partner at EIT Food Hub right here, is a perfect example of the power of networks and collaboration. The great work they're doing here and in organizing this forum today is key to bringing people together and building trust, addressing the challenges that we have to face as Europe in terms of food security and sustainability of the food value chain in the time of crisis. The creation of pre-competitive, collaborative spaces across the value chain enables different stakeholders to come together and co-invest in real solutions which have real impact. For instance, looking at ways to share data between stakeholders to increase transparency across the value chain and to enhance knowledge for decision-making without compromising intellectual property and rights. So, can sustainable agri-food systems foster peace? I will say absolutely. But we can only achieve this if we work on trust in the food system. Food security will only be possible if we all invest in building it day by day. And I hope that today you will be able to find collaborators that you can trust. I know I will. Thank you.